This is the end of my campaign. Last time I'm gonna say this. Please react to Engoodening of No Man's Sky. Just check out how other channels drew so much audience. Just react to that video and you will see what I'm talking. Okay, relax. Okay, we'll do it right now. All right. Jesus, it's a fucking hour long, man. That's pretty. I'll give it a shot, but I don't know if I'll finish all of this.
Sponsored by that game everyone loves.
Scientists are racing to unlock the secrets of the cosmos. Questions we once thought impossible to answer are within our grasp. Where does the sun go at night?
Is math related to science?
If the universe is so big, then why won't it fight me?
As we look further into the universe, we see light from distant stars, eons old, perhaps hundreds, even thousands of miles away. Hold on, can I get a zoom in on that?
You bet I can. This is one of the world's most powerful telescopes. Initiating 6 times zoom.
Can this baby do 7?
I can do you one better. Maneuvering to 8 times zoom.
Pressure rising, holding steady. I can see it. Unblur.
It won't hold.
Get me 8.5 times.
You're a madman.
Upscale it to 4K.
The helium tanks will go critical.
Opening the blind. Hold her steady. Uncropping and increasing aspect ratio.
This is 4 years old,
Now,
man.
punch it. There it is. Life on another world. And to think, we owe it all to one indie development studio.
Yeah,
Hello,
graphics are a lot
games.
better now. Much.
Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, it's rewind time. Okay, the year is 2009. Guildford, England. There's a man named Sean Murray, and he's just founded a company called Hello Games.
Sean and the boys are working hard on a brand new IP called Joe Danger. 2010 AD. The game just came out. It's a success.
They're a small team, but they are ambitious.
Let's do something bigger, said Sean. Let's reach for the stars. How about Joe Danger 2? Brilliant. It's 2012. Joe Danger 2 has just come out.
But that one doesn't perform as well.
Yeah.
We need to
expected.
do something even bigger than Joe Danger 2. Joe Danger 3? No. Even more out of this world. Something no man has done before.
Joe Danger the mobile game?
Yes! And that came out in 2014. Seriously, guys, biggest thing you can think of.
I'm just a stock image, dude. Why don't you think of something?
Sean pondered for a moment, then turned and looked wistfully into the mirror. Reflected back was the visage of Neil deGrasse Tyson.
If you're going to make a space game, first person, have never been done before. How about that? I'm going up in orbit to repair the Hubble telescope. So that's not a knife. Who are you going to have sex with? How much microwaves are coursing through your body now?
The planet, said Murray. Space game. Procedural generation. Planet. Okay, that sounds good. Yes, we all agree. So they set to work, cobbled together a prototype, and by VGX 2013, they are ready to announce another new IP.
No Man's Sky. Check it out.
Oh, this is special.
Yeah. Yeah, the launch wasn't all that great. Still impressive for what it was when it first came out.
It's 2014, and it's E3 hype time. No Man's Sky has promised to be a game like no other. A practically boundless experience vibrant with life and color and things to explore. What's over there? You'll have to be the one to discover it. And then, wow, look at that big f***ing dinosaur, holy shit. And a moment later, we're in space, having a battle amongst a giant fleet. Claim a planet as your own. Explore the galaxy with your friends.
Okay, that's it. This is gonna be the best game ever, you guys. It even won awards for its hype. And it will release in June 2016. The hype train was officially loading up and ready to chug out of the station. At every stop of the journey, there would be press junkets talking about the amazing scale of the game. Spread across 18 quintillion planets. It's so vast that by the time you finish exploring it all, I would have 2 new videos published. Sean himself was doing the interviews, because who is better to talk about the game than the lead guy himself? He went from interview to interview, and with each question, the answers he gave raised people's expectations of the game's scope.
Can you land on a comet?
Yeah, at the moment you can land on asteroids.
You could encounter other players.
Can you?
You can land on, yeah, not really asteroids. You can land on moons, you can land on planets. There's random shit that you can end up going into, but not asteroids.
Brief other players.
A little bit.
They're literally building your own, like, massively multiplayer world that's procedurally generated.
Sand planets like in June. Rivers. Walking sentinels. Hacking. So sophisticated that light diffracts through the atoms. They had to redevelop the whole periodic table to make it work.
What?
Even Elon Musk was hyped for it.
2 years go by. It's early 2016, and that hype train is really moving now. Perhaps one of the biggest in video game history. Reddit was shoveling most of the gamer fuel. Skeptics and naysayers are treated as ballast and thrown from the carriage doors. Pre-orders open, and they are doing very well. The date is booked in. Some are even taking the day off work. So much hype there is that... uh-oh. Jason Schreier of the soon-to-be defunct Kotaku is about to spoil the party. He announces a delay. From June 2016 to August.
Oh my god.
Liar, the incensed audience
That's
cries.
a delay.
Please be quiet, they said. And death threats too. But he was 100% right. A week later, the delay is officially announced. Ooh, sorry lads, we need more polish, said Sean in his usual accent. To that, Sean received some death threats too, by the way, although he didn't take them as seriously or go to the police. Yet.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
But the impatient crowd relaxed a bit and said, fine, we will wait. But we expect a level of polish no man has ever seen. Speaking of waiting, Shadow Man here. Have you heard of Rady Shady? My wife died in a plane crash. Hey, let's get serious. Iconic image.
The quintessential soy face.
They're exhausted. Look at what video game production does to a man.
God, what's wrong with your face?
Nonetheless, they continue, working on the day one patch, and... uh-oh. Sean, if your game isn't coming out for another 2 weeks, then why is there a box copy on eBay? That's right, it's a leak. Someone broke the embargo and is selling early access to the highest bidder. And the bids start rolling in. It reaches $1,300 US, sold to some guy with the Reddit handle Damien. He gets his hands on it and starts uploading footage to YouTube and Dailymotion. What the frick? Said Sean and Sony. Damien finished it a lot quicker than expected, but he gave it a decent review.
There are things I don't like, there are things I like, but at the end of the day, when I say to myself, what is this game supposed to be? This, what I'm looking at right here, this is what the game is supposed to be.
He noted a few problems, but said he was optimistic that they would be ironed out with the day one patch. Sean? It's another leak. Some retailers broke the official release date. Journalists too, and they started streaming playthroughs of the game. What the? Sony tried to DMCA all these videos, but their aim was terrible. But after hundreds of thousands of purchases, people soon took it upon themselves to find out. Despite the claims that it would be so improbable,
that are incredibly rare, just because of the size of the building.
on the very first day, two people noticed they were only 4 star systems from one another, and they met up on the same planet in a live stream. Oh,
Yeah, and they wouldn't find each other. That's true. I mean, yes, it's so enormous that, yes, in theory, it's extremely unlikely. But if you organize with someone, you can definitely find them. And I get it. This was many, many years ago. I mean, this fucking video is 4 years ago. That's a life for this.
Yeah.
A black pillow.
Our streams are exactly lined up. If you go look at my stream, we're looking at the exact same area right now. If you don't.
So they're both there,
That's
and
the
they
same
don't see each
spot.
other.
And they can't see each other.
I'm alone!
That settles it. It's not multiplayer because it's so big. It's not multiplayer because it's just not fucking multiplayer.
Yeah.
And this led to quite a revolt. What did Sean have to say about all this?
So amazing, 2 people found each other on the first day.
That has blown my mind.
So why can't we see other players in game?
Wow, so many of you playing.
Yeah, Sean, but why?
Truly amazing. My mind is blown.
No, it just wasn't working.
This lovely trophy going once.
Whoops.
I'm going to accept this on the behalf of Hello Games, and congratulations to them. And now I'm going to walk off stage like I planned that whole thing.
By this point, you've got to feel just a little bit sorry for them. And then what followed that was the final straw for many. No particular incident, but a lack of incidents. Silence. Over 3 months of not a damn word from No Man's Sky. Where are they? Where is my refund? Where is Murray? Shouted into the void.
Yeah, they got to
made
work.
their money back. 2 years later, Joe Danger 2 was released.
It was not the commercial success they had hoped for, and they didn't want to just keep pumping out sequels.
That was a trap big players in the industry had fallen into. In his spare time, Sean started working on a prototype for a procedurally generated game. They took another gamble and scrambled to get a trailer out in time to present at VGX 2013.
So the project is official now, and the pressure is on.
Ding dong.
It's Sony, with some good news for once.
We like a game, kid. We want to feature it front and center and make you
having in the game by 2016. That's the first big mistake. Then it's announced for PlayStation and it costs $60 and there's a collector's edition. Second, even bigger mistake. That puts us all the way up here. And I think this is the main problem, because price tags set expectations. For a $60 game, this was seriously barren and disappointing. Now, if they had put it out for $20 as an indie game or an alpha, nope.
It was extremely ambitious. It still is, but I mean, if you compare in terms of delays, disappointment, what was promised and what was actually delivered, I mean, Star Citizen is so much worse. It just doesn't compare. This is nothing. What happened with No Man's Sky, it is nothing. I mean, in the amount of time that they took, they actually delivered on everything and more, and they keep on doing that. So
problem. But when they gave it the AAA treatment, people rightfully aligned their expectations.
For $60, you buy a shitty starter ship in Star Citizen. For $750, you buy yourself the new player experience by buying a big ass ship in the game. It is so insane what we've allowed to happen in Star Citizen that something like the entire story of No Man's Sky was such a big disappointment. First of all, no, it wasn't. I mean, yeah, maybe for someone that thought it would be perfect when it first came out, given how ambitious it was, and they did fucked up that pretty bad because, yeah, it is true. It was, you didn't have a main story, you didn't have lots of things, so I get it. It was disappointing, but at the same time, not so much because the game did deliver on how enormous it was, at least that was real.
Expectations with other games in that category. That is the main reason. This originally was in the game, but it caused the player too much confusion. It kept being reported as a bug in the beta, as people left the planet and then returned to find everything different. But nonetheless, into the lying compilation it goes. So while they're still essentially and crucially, Sean doesn't understand that something mentioned in 2013, even said in passing, is going to be seen as a promise in the year 2016, even if by then you've decided to cut it from the game. For example, orbiting around the sun.
Day has turned it out because the planet has actually rotated on its axis.
This originally was in the game, but it caused the player too much confusion. It kept being reported as a bug in the beta, as people left the planet and then returned to find everything different. But nonetheless, into the lying compilation it goes. So while they're still essentially formulating the game, the media all want a piece of Sean and to report on features first. Conversely, Sean thinks the reporters might help him to temper down things by emphasizing that Hello Games is an indie studio. But that is not how journalism is done. This is how journalism is done.
Can you customize the look of your character?
Sort of.
Full customization confirmed in No Man's Sky.
Yeah, it's still
periodic table
you
to create
still,
atmospheric part.
I mean, you can customize part of it very much. So you can even choose like different species of aliens. So yeah, you don't have like a face of your guy. You have different helmets, which makes sense. You are in space and in alien planets all the time. So you can change the helmet. You can change even the body types. A little bit taller, a little bit leaner, or a little bit bigger, and so on. So there is quite a bit of customization, and you can unlock even more. So that's pretty nice.
Particles that would diffract light at just the right wavelength.
Who the fuck told you? The press kind of operates downstream from the community because things are click-driven as to what stories you get served and things like that. But a rumor would surface from Reddit straight to the front page.
There's all this hype, and the project has increased in scope dramatically and keeps increasing as the months go by until a point. They are close to the deadline and have to delay. And the reality of what they can achieve in the little time remaining. It's
crazy that 4 years ago, just 4 years ago, delaying the release of a game was like, oh, fuck, you delayed it? Yeah, now it's like, yeah, it's going to be next year, maybe. Or in the case of Star Citizen, I don't even tell you when the fuck I'm going to release the game. Shut up, you noise. Go away, normie.
Is staring them in the face. They know they're not going to be putting out a finished game.
This is when people had decency. This is when people had any shame whatsoever.
They're worried about full inventory. Then community mod support. Then a third thing, etc., etc. This is going to take an enormous amount of work to pull off, and they're not going to make the same mistake twice. So they would need to sharply adjust their PR strategy. Adding more fuel to the fire. Instead of accidentally promising fixes that might also not be delivered, they wouldn't speak to the press again.
Female traits you're talking about, I can say that's a generalization, but you've used...
They were going to speak to the community directly from now on. So they told the audience they were working on it and went completely silent. 1 day passed. No word. 2 days. A week. Have you heard from Hello Games? They just had this disastrous release. Nope, haven't seen them. I hope they're working on the game. 2 weeks. Dude, are you working on this thing? Just ignore them, just work. 3 weeks. Okay, what the fuck is going on?
WTF, it's locked.
A month. They took the fuck money and ran, didn't they? Didn't say anything, it's not gonna help. 2 months. 3 months. By now, most people were convinced that the game was abandoned. They had made their money. It's all over. Then, after over 100 days of absolute silence, a tweet. Foundation. The first big patch.
In 3 months, they fixed the fucking thing in 3 months. It is crazy. It is crazy how we're being ripped off by CIG. How many years, how much money and they only take away features in recent years. In recent years, they've been taking away features like a good flight model, like a good combat model for the ships, making shit worse. These guys in 100 years turned around a disastrous release.
It is me, Sean. No, go away, Sean. I am mad at you. It has been too long. But I bring you gifts. This accent sucks. It brought base building, new game modes, farming, camps, and freighters, as well as a lot of bug fixes. You will have to try harder than that, Sean, to win my love back. It still fell well shy of the promised game. Too little, too late. So Sean left.
Yeah, they just hurried too much on the release. Imagine if they had gone like, nah, we need another year. Oh, you son of a... We need another year? Yeah, sorry we said that, but another year it is. They would have gone with a lot more success. It's better to delay it. It's even better if you do your fucking homework and don't need to delay anything because you know how much time it's going to take and you have somewhat of a wiggle room in the planning, right? But releasing something in a poor state is always going to be worse than just delaying it and then doing it right.
Returned to his team and got back to work. A few more months went by, and then another tweet. Pathfinder.
What do we have here?
Vehicles, yeah.
What the fuck? Oh, it's usual. I bring you online base sharing, own multiple starships, starship specialization, multi-tool specialization and classes, permadeath modes, vehicles you can drive around in, and create racetracks for them too with time trials.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this. Okay, that's pretty good, but I'm still mad, and there's still a ton promised that isn't in the game yet. So Sean went away once more. A few more months went by. Knock, knock. Oh, it's you, Sean. What is it now? I bring you an overhaul to the storyline. New worlds, crashed freighters, space combat, terrain editing, portals, procedural mission system, interstellar trading, and joint exploration. By now, people were really starting to warm to No Man's Sky again, and to Hello Games.
The game has in many ways exceeded what was promised.
It's a substantially better game now.
No Man's Sky is back, baby!
People saw this was an honest effort to fix the game, and the number of employees working on it was growing, from a studio of 15 to 25. Sean Murray and Hello Games social media also started becoming more active and engaging with the audience.
Yeah, true.
The subreddit was flourishing once more. The price of the game secondhand on Amazon, eBay, and GameStop was going up. Then a few more months went by. Next, a really big patch.
Oh my god. Holy shit! I just got goosebumps.
To be super clear, No Man's Sky is not fuck that. Here's the full and proper multiplayer experience.
Yeah.
Ringed planets, third-person mode, character customization, a galactic atlas on an external website for the community, vast overhauls to base building and crafting and resources, and it also brought the game to Xbox. In fact, with the release of Next in July 2018, No Man's Sky was the 6th top-selling console game for the month. It climbed its way back into Steam's top 10. It reached nearly 100,000 concurrent players. It brought another $24 million across all platforms. Their Steam rating went from mixed to very positive. People were getting back on board in a big
it's really
way,
good.
but they weren't done yet. Better creatures, weird underwater shit, discoveries in bases and environments and equipment, and it keeps going. New biomes, more diversity, archaeology, more things to discover. By now, Sean and the gaming inspector, personification of the gaming community, had literally patched things up and were making out on the couch. Which was when he released his biggest patch to date of this video.
Oh my god, dude!
Free VR support, not a whole other game you have to pay for, like some titles. Overhauls to NPCs, tech trees, base building, streamlined multiplayer, ride animals around. All sorts of stuff that was never promised in the first place. And they're still adding more stuff.
Imagine delivering on things beyond what you promised and delivering things that, yeah, you have no obligation to release. You never said you would do any of that. You still do it.
Someone at Valve, who was a fan of the game, said to me, what you do now is more important than what you say. There's only one thing that's credible, and that's your actions.
In fact, I was so slow to get this video out that they put out another patch the other day, with ship salvaging, ship upgrading, more advanced terrain editing, first-person exocross, improved VR, improved base building and inventory management, and quality of life stuff. It goes on. Is it perfect? Technically there are still things on this spreadsheet missing. But come on now, we're starting to nitpick. Especially when you compare them to relationships with other games companies. They could have gone the route of Fallout 76. Paywall mods with Fallout First, charging a monthly fee, a downward spiral more and more into pay-to-win scraps released without QA testing. But instead, they never added pay-to-win, they never added microtransactions or paid DLC, they never made VR as a second game, they didn't give up on the game or scale their resources back to do it. They didn't come out and call all gamers entitled, they didn't add loot boxes, they didn't start work on the next big project or sequel, they didn't do much of anything except get back to work. And just like that, the game once panned by critics now had awards rolling in.
Your developed star 2019, No Man's Sky, Sean Murray.
No Man's Sky next.
No Man's Sky.
That's pretty good, man. I like it a lot.
No Man's Sky.
And to cap it all off, the subreddit No Man's Sky the Game even got together and pooled money for a GoFundMe to have a billboard installed near the Hello Games offices. It must have been a harrowing moment for Sean and the team. They took a huge risk to start a small studio. They clawed their way up to create one of the most notable games of the console generation. Disappointed pretty much everyone with the release, and took one of the biggest online beatings in video game history for it.
As a family, post-release, we faced some really difficult challenges. Everything that you can imagine from like the worst of the internet, we hit.
But then over the course of the next 3 years, completely turned it around. And
in 3 years! They started from crap, and in 3 years, they turned things around to this extent. Imagine where we are with Star Citizen and how unforgivable it is.
Came out the other side with a win. It's the underdog story. And after doing all of this research, I couldn't help but come to the conclusion that they were the good guys.
Yeah, they
So
are.
what is the future for Hello Games? In 2017, they announced Hello Labs, a support program focused on original titles and games using procedural generation. Two of the team also branched off to work on a small title called The Last Campfire. But for the foreseeable future, they're just working on No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Alright, I didn't want to finish the video on like a big sappy note. So, this is the end of the story, but there's still another few minutes. Don't leave, it's not an ad. Okay, in 2015, when the hype was at its peak, someone wrote a Sean Murray erotic fanfiction, and, naturally, I assumed that you lot would want to see it. So, here it is. My evening interview at Hello Games. I arrived at the Hello Games office in the early evening, as the sun was approaching the horizon. Taking a deep breath, I nervously pressed the doorbell. The door opened, and Sean poked his expressive face out to greet me. "Hey you," he exclaimed in his adorable British-Australian accent. "I'm so happy you could make it and spend the evening with us." "I was so happy when I heard you agreed to let me come in for an interview," I said. "Oh yeah, the interview. I forgot," he replied with his usual brilliant humor. I laughed. "You're so funny, Sean. Let me show you my office." "I have a surprise for you," Sean said. He led me to the room where we sat down on a soft vinyl couch. "So let me show you the surprise," he said, softly. "It's the newest build of the game. We just added some new features." He booted up the game on a PS4 in his office. I stared at his face. I like your beard. It's sexy," I pretended to say to him in my head.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
I had a secret crush on him. There was something about his humble demeanor and feeble yet handsome bone structure that was so alluring. "So here's the game," he said eagerly. It opened on an alien world just calling out to be explored. I began to sweat. Here it finally was, in front of me in all of its glory, and it was being played by Sean in front of me in all of his glory. I nervously spoke. "Could I try playing?" I said. "Oh, I suppose, of course," he said, chuckling. But another few minutes passed without him handing me the controls. "Sean," I said more confidently. I put my hands on his hands as he gripped the controller. He looked me straight in the eyes. I stared deep into his beautiful, glistening eyes, utterly transfixed. "Sure," he said. He let go of the PlayStation controller, still sweaty from his firm grip. "But I have another surprise to show you." He stood up. My
Redacted.
Hima. Sean Murray, all finally playing No Man's Sky.
Well,
After exploring the planet.
Yeah, it is. It's been a few years, and especially with, I think it was the Planets Part 1 that was the very big graphic overhaul with Light No Fire, tech, and whatever they've been working on that being brought. That is the craziest thing. You have an entire other game that you're working on, that you're planning on monetizing, and you bring, just because, out of the kindness of your heart, you bring out what you're doing on that game and you throw it in No Man's Sky for people that already have the thing for like $9, $10, $15, whatever the discount it was. That's amazing. I think it's great. And the thing is, it doesn't stop. It keeps delivering. This thing that we wanted from CIG so much that we will never have, because they're not Sean Murray, they're not Hello Games, they will never do this. That's what they do. Even though we were thinking of, I don't care if there's never a release date of Star Citizen, as long as there's new content, right? No, there's nothing new. These guys do that. You have new things. You have the expeditions. You have the different updates with new stuff to check out. So that's pretty awesome. Anyway, I think I've seen it before. I think I've seen this, or at least parts of this video before. But anyway, that's my reaction to it, or at least part of it. See you next time, guys. Take care.